Here is the 2024 Subaru Ascent Touring in crystal white. The Touring gets all the features, maxing towing capabilities, the max payload for the roof rails, in which the base trim, you can't even get the same towing capabilities and a lot of the amenities in which we have here. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to touch bases on the competition, pros and cons, the problem that I have with the Ascent, and what you're getting between the different trim levels. Starting with steering response LED headlights and daytime runnings. The chrome will integrate into the headlamp assembly. The gloss black elements are going to take over the front fascia, which makes it look a lot more prestige, considering when you change trims, you're going to have a matte black. The lower gets an air pocket. It's non-functional with LED fog lights. 8.7 inches of clearance on all trims. I wish they had a wilderness edition just because it would give us more ground clearance and making the suspension a little bit more tuned for off-road. But either way you go, four-wheel independent suspension, you're not going to have any problems tackling that with a 7 or 8 passenger layout. Now the base trim can only tow up to 2,000 pounds. All the other trims up to 5,000 pounds. So when we're thinking Honda, Kia, Toyota, we're right on par. And for motivation, we have the 2.4 liter turbocharged Subaru Boxer 4-cylinder that produces 260 horsepower with 277 pound-feet of torque, paired to a Lineartronic CVT transmission in which all trims get symmetrical all-wheel drive with dynamic control. And because this is the Touring, 20-inch wheels. The base, 18-inch wheels. When you go to the Onyx, that's going to be a 20-inch wheel. That's going to be a black finish, achieving 19 mpgs for the city, 25 mpgs for the highway, a raised four-wheel independent suspension. So it's going to be a little bit more rugged, but it's still going to be soft, similar to an air suspension, just you're not going to have that movement like it's a boat. And going back to the competition, tick the box for a Toyota, go into the TRD, it's going to be more rugged, don't get me wrong, you'll have some off-road capabilities, but then it's not going to be as plush as the materials that are found in the Touring for the Subaru. Nor will you be able to put 700 pounds on your raised roof rails, because this is the only vehicle you could do that, unless you go up to a Land Rover, in which you're paying $50,000 to $60,000 base price. Go into Honda, tick the Trail Sport, and you're around $60,000 for that vehicle. It's going to be a little bit longer than this, but this is going to have the off-road capabilities in which that vehicle can't do. The Volkswagen Atlas, the same thing. It's going to be larger, wider, in which they only offer a turbocharged engine as well as this. However, they have lowered their powertrain. They used to have a VR6, which was a V6 engine. So you're losing horsepower, but you're still able to tow 5,000 pounds, in which that makes this spot on with all the class, except for the Nissan Pathfinder, in which when you tick the box for all-wheel drive, you're getting 6,000 pounds. And the only other vehicle that can outclass the towing would be the Kia Telluride SX Prestige X line, which goes up to 5,500 pounds, in which, again, pricing, you're going to be saving with Subaru, and it's going to have more plush amenities. C-structure LED taillights, the lower gets the dual exhaust outlets, front and rear parking sensors, the 360-degree reverse camera because this is a Touring trim. The big problem that I have with the Ascent is it looks a little dated on the exterior because we just received a light refresh on this vehicle, and you would expect it to be a little bit more dynamic or off-roadsy looking. And to me, it has a little vibe of an older Nissan Pathfinder, in which this is more capable for off-road capabilities. Power liftgate going into nearly 18 cubic feet of storage. It does sit up, but the bumpers don't come out, so it makes it easier for loading. You get a 12 volt. There is no interior lights that are going to be LED. Bag holders on both sides. The Harman Kardon comes in the back, and underneath the floor, you get a little storage compartment with a spare tire tucked underneath. I have folded the seats all the way back and all the way forward, so you see the way it looks. Split fold them down by just moving the lever here. That's going to increase cargo to 42.1 cubic feet, which is about 0.3 cubic feet less than the 8-passenger. Unfortunately, you will have to go to the back seats to max cargo at the 78.8 cubic feet of storage. You will have to pull 2 different levers in order to make it more or less a flap, in which you will be losing about 1.5 cubic feet to max cargo capacity. 12-way power seat adjustment for the driver. Power seat adjustments start on the premium. 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. This is Napa leather. Regular leather will start on the limited. The Onyx gets the StarTech water repellent. And memory for the driver with manual cushion extensions. Headroom and leg room. The Ascent is the largest SUV Subaru makes, and they maximize storage starting on the passenger side with it in the dashboard and giving some more to the driver as well. Flat dashboard layout, digital rear view mirror that can only be found on 11.6-inch StarTech, which has some glitch. The navigation is standard on the limited trim. The 360-degree reverse camera can be on the Onyx edition, but it's standard here. Tri-climate control is standard on all trims, and you have physical buttons here so you can actually push it up and down for the climate control instead of actually having to hit it. And the same thing for the audio sound system, which standard is a 6-speaker. When you go into the limited, you can option the Harman Kardon, which we have here. Wireless charging pad, USB ports, and the key fob for the Ascent. It's going to be a little bit more soft, kind of bulges out a little bit here, opens up. It's a deep storage pocket with a little storage tray that you can put some change and some notes. Leather wrapped steering wheel, it's heated, multi-function, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, and the gauge cluster can go through an array of information for the driver. Dashboard and door panels configuring together, and it has a nice little contrast stitch with the perforated here on the side in the wood look. Memory seats is only on the touring trim. It's going to be soft to touch where it needs to be. One touch up and down for the front windows, and 3 cup or bottle holders are found in the door pocket. With a large pano moonroof that goes to the second row, and you can open up the sunglass to give a little mirror to see everybody in the back. And we have the cabin talk, which is pretty neat, if I can get it to not be as glitchy, or cabin connect. So when you talk, you can actually hear my voice echo right now throughout the cabin. For the second row, headroom and leg room. Storage beyond both of the front seats. Home plug is only on the touring trim. Cup holders in the center, USB ports as standard, third climate control, heated captain seats, and this will adjust. And you can also recline these back to have a little bit more of a smooth ride for the second row. Manual sunshades, and the door will start with a cup holder. You get the wood inlays. We have the child lock. It's going to be soft to touch. Now I like the material because it's the same that's found in the front. The lower gets 3 cup or bottle holders. And you can also adjust these forward to give maximum leg space for the third row, in which I could actually fit here. I can fit in both rows if I move it up. To enter into the third row, pull the lever and it's going to slide forward. You have pretty decent amount with the captain's seats to fit 3 more in the back. USB ports, you get a little storage tray for a phone, 3 cup or bottle holders, and you're going to have the same thing on this side here with the 3 cup or bottle holders, just no USB ports. It's all going to be on one side, which starts on the limited trim. Headroom isn't going to be a problem. The rails are pushed back. If you put the seat back to the full capacity, it's going to be a little bit tight for somebody that's 6'3". And the way this bulges out, you kind of have to sit a little awkward. So sitting into the center is going to be a little bit more desirable if you want to keep your legs more flush, because feet, butt, leg, shoulder space, and even headroom is going to be a little bit questionable for sitting in the center. 4,590 pounds is what the Ascent Touring curb weight is. 8.7 inches of ground clearance, raised 4-wheel independent suspension with 260 horsepower, and 277 pound-feet of torque out of the 2.4-liter turbocharged Subaru Boxer 4-cylinder. Now that's a lot to swallow, but that shows you what you're getting in performance all around, in which that's what we're going to demonstrate right now. Quick speeds, and you do it at a smooth transition. It doesn't feel like an off-road animal. It does feel lifted up. You do sit up a little bit higher, The seats are comfortable, sound deadening is good. I like the digital rear view mirror. Not a huge fan of this 11.6, or even if you go into a dual 7-inch setup. All of them are, they just have some lag to it, in which when you're at these prices, you're starting to expect it to be a little bit more streamlined. And even for the gauge cluster, you don't get a full digital reader, no heads-up display. They don't offer a Wilderness Edition. They do offer the Onyx Edition and the Limited, both of which will be kind of the sweet spot when you're looking at an Ascent. That's going to take me to some pros and cons, starting off with the pros. When you're at $50-ish thousand and you're getting the touring trim, 19 cup and bottle holders, that's standard on all trims. But the capabilities that you can do on and off pavement, towing capabilities, what you could put on the roof, the interior itself has plenty of storage, and pretty much you can put something everywhere, except there isn't a pass-through. But because the center cluster is so low, they optimize space with the cup and bottle holders, and they have a deep storage pocket in the center. For the cons, start with the passenger side. Because of the way the dashboard comes out, you don't have a lot of leg space for your knees. You're basically hitting the dashboard, and you only get 4-way power seat adjustment. So for tall people, even though you got the manual cushion extensions, it's going to be a little bit tight sitting into the front, in which each row you may have to move up seats similar to a Mitsubishi, in which when we're starting to hover $50-ish thousand, you're not wanting to see that inside the largest SUV Subaru makes. The infotainment screen, it's glitchy, and you have to do pretty much everything through it. You do have some buttons, so that is a pro. The digital rear view mirror has a lot of glare. I have it on my own Infiniti, and it doesn't have this type of glare, in which I have to switch it back and forth because of that glare. It just kind of blinds you in a sense the way it is. Turn radius isn't too bad. It's about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. Gets up to speed pretty quick. And the steering is pretty light, so you can maneuver in and out. The adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist isn't too bad either. It goes about, I would say, 0.3 to 0.5 miles without being too much engaged. Going back to the competition, the Volkswagen Atlas just went through a refresh, so it is a lot more clean inside, and you have some pretty plush materials that they're working with, in which they do a good job here with the Ascent, but when you go down lower trims, it starts getting a little bit more firm. Against Toyota, a lot more soft materials. The seat in the front is a little bit longer too for the butt area, and the same thing for the captain seats, and you don't sit up as if you're going to hit the headliner. For taller people, that can be an issue for second row occupants. Honda, they do a great job with the Pilot, one of my favorite variants, because you get a lot of storage throughout, and they just optimize the center cluster, in which they even added that onto the Passport to give even more space, which here it's going to be a little bit tighter, feels a little bit more sporty for the front occupants. Back seat is going to be tight, and another con that I have is there's no LED interior lights, and when you're at the top trim, that's something that needs to be addressed. Considering we just got a light refresh, it would be nice that they fixed or correct some of these things. The big problem that I have is if you need to use it as a 5-seater and you don't have the bench option, you're going to have to configure each row up in order to fit everybody in the vehicle, and this is a larger SUV. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Subaru of Lakeland for giving us this 2024 Subaru Ascent Touring for our car review.